Hi boys and girls, Mrs. Shelton, and this week's lesson is going to be on a collage tree that looks like this. And the tree is going to be made today out of newspaper. So I have collected some newspaper to use as my collage item, or the item that I'm going to create my tree out of. And I'm going to glue it onto some white paper like this. You can glue it onto whatever type of paper that you want, any color that you choose. So it's that time of year where the leaves are starting to fall down from the trees, and the leaves on the trees are changing. The colors are changing. They're changing to like browns, oranges, reds, some of them are even kind of like a deep reddish purple color. The trees are beautiful right now. So when you create your tree today, you are going to create it out of the newspaper, but you are going to be coloring the newspaper. So if you look at my tree here, it's all made out of this recycled newspaper, but I've colored right on top of it. You can see the print shining through, which makes it kind of cool. So when you cut your leaves out, when you're done, you're just going to color on top of them. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start by taking my newspaper. So my newspaper was like this, okay? And what I did is I just simply cut little squares out. Because the pieces of newspaper are so big, I kind of want to make my my work pieces small. So if you look here, I've kind of cut my work pieces into little squares. All right, so what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead, and you can either just go ahead and cut your leaf shapes out freehand. Freehand means like you don't draw anything. You just kind of start cutting what you think a leaf shape might be. So some people who are really good at cutting can just go ahead and cut some shapes out. Now, I'm good at free cutting some leaf shapes, but some of the shapes I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to want to draw. So I actually stacked the paper up. The paper is really thin, so you can cut multiple leaves, or many leaves at a time. Okay? So now, if I want a different shape, I could take my pencil and I can draw the shape on here. You can draw with a marker, whatever you want. So if you look really close, I've drawn my shape on there. You can see the outline. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to follow that line. And again, I have a couple pieces stacked up so I can cut more than one at a time because the paper is so thin. Now for when you're cutting construction paper is pretty thick, so sometimes it's hard to cut a bunch, but this is newsprint, and newsprint is really thin. So I stack them up, and when I'm done, I get a whole bunch of the leaf shape. Different types of trees have different shaped leaves. So if you have an oak tree has a specific leaf. If you have a maple tree has a specific shape. A ginkgo leaf is a really cool shape. So now I have this shape. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give myself one more different shaped leaf. I'm going to try a maple leaf. A maple leaf is pretty tricky. So this is a leaf shape that I'm for sure going to have to draw. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just going with the general shape because I'm not exactly sure how many points it has and how many little nooks and crannies it has, but I'm going to try my best to get the general idea. Like I said, you can be creative with your leaves too. They can just be like kind of an illusion of a leaf, which means it kind of looks. So here I have more of this shape. All right, so now what I'm going to do is the final thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the tree trunk, which is this part. This is the main part of the tree. Kind of like the stability of the tree, which holds the tree up. And then the branches grow from that. And really, this is just like a simple line. And I just kind of curve it out at the bottom a little bit. Like this. So it looks like a long rectangle, and I just made it like get a little bit wider at the bottom. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue this on. Make this a little smaller because I noticed it was a little tall for my paper. I happen to have a glue stick. You can use any type of glue that you have. Or if you have tape, you can tape it on. Whatever supplies you have are fine. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to put this directly on the newspaper. Okay? So I'm going to cover this up with some glue. Put a decent amount on because I want it to stick real well. I'm going to go ahead, put it at the bottom of my paper, and smooth it down like this. So now I have the trunk. So I have this area up here to put my leaves on. And I can already tell that my leaves are a little bit large for my page, so I may have to trim them down a bit. I'm just going to trim the bottom off of this one a little bit just to make it fit my paper. My sample happens to be on a little bit bigger, longer sheet of paper. I'm going to do the same thing. The glue always goes on whatever we're gluing to the paper. If I put the glue on this paper and then I glue my leaf on, I might have some extra glue and it makes it kind of a sticky mess. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to apply the glue to this. Give it a generous amount of glue because you want it to stick on there pretty well. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make it glue it off to the side a little bit like this. So I'm having this one come off to the side. My next one I'm going to have come off to this side. And I think I'm going to choose I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose the same one so it's kind of balanced on each side. And then I'll mix up the shapes in the middle. Again, go ahead, put your glue on, like this. I'm going to glue it on. So I live in a heavily wooded area where I have a ton of trees in my yard, and we spend most of the fall cleaning up the leaves out of our yard. We sometimes rake, but most of the time we use these blowers that blow the leaves all up. And I love when we're blowing the leaves and you see all the different colors kind of flying in the air. I like watching the trees every day change colors. It's just really one of my favorite times of the year. And it's just so beautiful how nature kind of changes and transitions over time and things start to get, the trees kind of get prepared for winter where it drops all their leaves and their branches end up being bare for the winter time. So I have a different shaped leaf that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick here. So I have these two here and I'm going to stick this one here. Since I'm using a smaller sheet of paper, I may only have room for 4 leaves because I made mine kind of big. If yours are smaller, you may have room for more. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use one of my leaves where I tried to do a maple leaf shape. I'm going to go ahead, put the glue on here. You can be pretty creative with your leaves. You can make some big, you can make some small, you can make them all different shapes and sizes. Be as creative as you want. Okay, I'm going to put this one here. Okay, so now I have all my leaves on my tree like this. Now, if you want to be really creative, you could make some little leaves and have some leaves on the ground. Again, like I said, lots of leaves falling. So, if you want, I might put one or two little babies on the ground. And I'm just making them smaller because I don't have that much space on my page. It doesn't mean just the little ones fall to the ground, because all the leaves fall down. Now, some trees do not lose their leaves until the spring. And trees like evergreen trees or pine trees, they hang on to their needles all the time. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've made my whole tree and my leaves. Now, here is where you can choose. You can either choose to color all your leaves before you glue them on. So for this one, I colored all my parts and then glued them on. You can do it any way you want. Or you can go ahead, glue your parts on, and you can leave it like this if you want. Or if you have crayons, you may go ahead and give it some fall color. So I'm going to start with brown, and I'm going to start coloring my tree trunk, which is the bottom part, brown. I'm going to take my time. And like I said, you don't have to cover up the print or the words that are on the newspaper. It's actually kind of cool to see the print shine through or show through. I like the way it looks. And newspaper is a great recycled material to make art projects out of, or collage, where you can cut all different things out and kind of piece them together. So I have my bottom colored brown, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose some kind of fall colors for my leaves. So I'm going to have a red, an orange. I do kind of have this greenish color. I'm even going to go ahead and I'm going to throw a purple in there, because I told you guys that sometimes I see some leaves that are so red, this really, really deep red, almost kind of like the color of my shirt, which is kind of a reddish, pinkish, purplish color. So I'm just going to go ahead and start coloring some of my leaves. Now, another thing is, if you guys do not have newspaper, you can also use a magazine. And in a magazine, sometimes the magazine pages already have a color to them. So if you find a page out of a magazine that's red, cut that out and use that as part of your collage. Or if you have a page in your magazine that's green or purple, you can just use the colors from the magazines and use those as your base colors, which means the color is already on there for you, and really all you have to do is cut that out and turn that into your collage paper. And you can cut the leaves and the shapes out of that. Okay, I'm going to use some orange. I have about one more leaf here to color. You're going to want to find a dark crayon or marker that you can put the veins in your leaves to add that finishing detail to your leaf. I happen to have a marker, but if you just have a black crayon in your black crayon set, that's perfect. You can use that. You may also add some details in your background if you want. If you want to add somebody standing by the tree, you can draw somebody in your picture. If you want to add some nature or some wildlife, like some birds or some squirrels, because squirrels are very busy right now collecting the acorns and the nuts that are falling off the trees. So you can add that as well. Be creative. Add what you want. If you want to add yourself in the picture, perfect. My kids love to jump in the big piles of leaves. So when we blow big piles of leaves, they love to run, play, jump. My dog loves to run, play, jump in the leaves. So if you want to put yourself or your pets playing in the leaves, that would be great too. Alright, so I have everything colored. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my dark colored marker, and I'm going to make the veins in the leaf. Oh, actually, that one's not writing very well, so I'm going to try a new one. Okay, so I start with a line down the middle of my leaf, and now I'm going to make all these little lines that come off the main line, like this. Okay, so you have lines that come off like that. Again, I am starting to have problems with my marker, so I keep switching them out. Like I said, you can also use a crayon. There, this one you can see a little better. I'm drawing, and I'm going to do that to the rest of my leaf, so I have 2 more to do. So I'm going to go ahead and do those. And I start with that big line down the middle, and that's kind of like my guideline for my veins. Then you can kind of, if you want to draw some bark on your tree or a little hole for a little critter to live in. So if I make an oval like this, and make a spiral, that's kind of like a little space that maybe a little squirrel or a raccoon or maybe an owl can live in. And then if you want to draw some bark like this, you can draw some bark. And then I'm going to go down here and I'm going to add my details down here. Okay. There we go. So I've added all of these. So here's one example. This one doesn't have as many cool details as this one. This one I added a few more details. If you want to color the sky blue, and if you don't have white paper to glue this on, it's fine. Glue it on whatever type of paper you have. If you have like a cardboard box, let's say you have crackers or cereal, you can cut the box apart, you can flip that box over, and you can use the cardboard side of the box. Be creative with your supplies and with your collage materials. Okay, like I said, I use newspaper, but you can use a magazine or ads, coupons, the coupon ad that comes in the mail, anything you want. Just be really creative. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. Don't forget to go to my Bitmoji page, and where the purple star is, you can click on there and you can submit your project, and I look forward to seeing what you guys have created. Good luck, have fun, and be creative.